A few months back, I was being tasked with the operation of babysitting a small child for my friend. Now, my friend is a single father. He works a very hard factory job, and he usually needs a babysitter all the time. However, at the current moment, his babysitter was going through a big issue. His babysitter got into a car crash. So I was dutifully reached out at 2 o'clock in the morning. He said, "Hey, man, I usually don't ask you for stuff, but, could you look out for me this one time?" I said, "This one time, you need money, you need some Pizza Hut, you need grits, you need bagels." He said, "Nah, I don't need no food or nothing like that. What I do need you is to watch my son." I said, "Okay, perfectly understandable. I got you. I'm going to go over there and watch your child." So he leaves, and I'm face to face with this child. I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "We usually play the red Wii. I haven't seen a red Wii in 36,000 years. This is an eldritch piece of technology. This piece of lore and old divinity is messing up to me." I said, "Whoa, this is vintage," because the Wii is vintage now. This caught me off guard. I said, "You just play this?" He said, "Usually we play Wii Sports or Wii Bowling. I'm really good at Wii Bowling." I said, "Okay, I guess we'll see how that goes." So about 12 minutes in, we're playing Wii Bowling, and he is not good at Wii Bowling. I'm destroying this kid. He said, "Mr. KK," I'm like, "What's up?" Boom, hitting him with a turkey. Hold up a second. I'm about to bowl 300. I'm amazing at the game, by the way. I'm goated. He says, "Are you going to cook for us?" I said, "Cook? I'm cooking you right now." Boom, Gordon Ramsay. I'm chefing this little child. He says, No. I mean, are you going to get us some food?" I said, "Yeah. What do you usually eat around here?" He said, "Well, I don't want to talk about it, but you can check the fridge." I said, "Check the fridge." So I go over to the fridge. He had mustard and pancake mix. I was a little bit concerned and confused, because earlier on the phone call, he had told me explicitly that he didn't need food. I could have brought over some pleasantries, some Coventry, some groceries of some sort. I could have went to Costco beforehand, maybe even got some chips. I was confused. He just had water from the sink, cups, whole bunch of silverware, and for some odd, inexplicable reason, paper plates and mustard and pancake mix. I said, "You be eating mustard pancakes? Is this what you be doing?" He said, "No, my dad usually gets me pizza." I said, "Oh, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay, I got you. He must think you Donatello or Leonardo. Okay. Well, what do you want to eat?" He said, "I was online and I saw a secret food." A secret food? I didn't know there were secret foods in this existence. I didn't know they existed. I said, "What secret food?" He said, little thing. It was a little orb." "Little orb? What little orb?" He said, "Brussels sprouts." "Brussels sprouts? I think it's called Brussels sprouts." I said, "Okay. I'm going to help you get these Brussels sprouts. We going to get them." So in the car, all right, over to the store, because we had to drive in my car to get some food. I said, "Kind of curious, little buddy. How many nights have you been eating pizza?" He says, "A lot more than I can count." I said, "What's the highest number you can count to?" He said, 23. "More than 23 nights? Oh my goodness. That's more than 2 fortnights, and I ain't talking about the game. This is crazy." I said, "Whoa, this is psychotic." I'm baffled and perplexed. I said, "Okay, we're going to go in this store. We're going to figure out what you want." And this kid is 4 years old, by the way. 23 is an impressive number for 4 for me. That's a big number for me. I think that's really good. I think that's amazing. I think he learned that maybe from Coco Melon or something of that variety. He's usually on the iPad besides the Wii. It's the Wii or the iPad, the two things. That's what he's got. He doesn't have much. Very small, modest house for a single dad. So, bada bing, bada boom, we pop in the store. He says, "Whoa, it's the What's Up Doc." I said, "A What's Up Doc?" He's pointing to a carrot. And he said, "Where's the little tail at the end?" I said, "On Bugs Bunny?" He said, "No, carrots have a green part." I said, "Oh, most carrots don't have that. Usually just an orange stick. This is a carrot." He said, "Whoa, I've only seen this online." Only online? He's only seen this in the Amazon catalog. He's only window shopped about vegetables. This caught me a little bit off guard. I said, "Do you really want to eat this?" He said, "Yeah." So we get a few carrot sticks, some ranch, and a few other vegetables, and we head on back. And I give him one. He says, "Oh, this is cold." I said, "Yeah, it's very cold. Did you not know that vegetables were cold?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, vegetables are usually cold unless you steam them or saute them or cook them in some different variety." And I want to point this out. He has a bunch of pots and pans and stuff. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, later I'll probably maybe steam him some stuff and things of that variety. But after the vegetables, he gets a little bit tired because I was whooping him so bad in Wii Bowling that his wrist was hurting because he's horrible at bowling. So I put him to bed, and I'm waiting for my friend to come back because I was only supposed to watch him for about 3 hours-ish, maybe 6 hours. But I'm a little bit concerned because I get no call. I call him and it goes straight to voicemail. I'm thinking to myself, oh no, this man got into a car crash, same as his previous babysitter. It's gonna be bad. So I stay the night, wake up the next day, and lo and behold, I see pizza just sitting there, and my friend saying, "Hey man, get up, man. Sorry about that. I was out later. I had to pick up some overtime. Figure you was here, you wouldn't really mind that much. I got a little bit extra for you." I said, "Okay." Gave me 120 smackaroons. I said, "These doubloons would do nicely." Usually buy some V-Bucks. I was very happy about that. So he gave me that money, slapped it on my hand, and I said, "Hey partner, I gotta tell you something very important here. Are you feeding your child only pizza?" He said, "Kids love pizza." Okay, he's not Splinter's disciples. You know that, right? You are aware that children need to eat more than pizza. He said, "Hey man, I don't tell you how to raise your kids. You don't tell me how to raise mine. Thank you for watching my kid. Take your 120. Get up out of here, man. Don't tell me how to raise my kids, man. That's how I'm gonna do it." I said, understandable. So I proceed to leave, thinking, well, I guess I just better mind my own black business. So for a little bit of time, I was away from that household. I was gone, out, not really doing anything in that variety, until I was reached out again by him. You may be thinking to yourself, why was I reached out again by him? Well, because he wanted to show his short, thick, Pillsbury Doughboy built, amazing little woman that he had found. 4'11", codependent relationship. They had been staying together for about 2.5 months. They had been just kind of chilling with each other at the time, and I was very excited. Maybe it was 1 month, 1.5 months, something around nature. It was a time where they got codependent enough. Now he went to work, and the child was at the grandparents' house, the other babysitter, and I got a chance to speak to this woman. And by all means, I was concerned, fearing this meeting, thinking to myself, by golly, this is going to be a horrifying meeting. She's going to be just as ignorant and wild as my friend, because my friend, and you can probably tell from the story, is a nigga. You may hate to hear the word, you may hate to see it, but by all means, a lot of my friends are generally just not the fun variety. He's evil. He's evil, man. I'm gonna keep it a bean. He's not a bad father. He's just a bit neglectful. He's done horrible things in the past. Yeah, he may have held people at gunpoint, things of that variety. Yeah, things have happened. But he found himself a nice 4'11" black woman. I was very happy for him. And I was speaking to her, and she had prepared a meal for us. I was very excited because she had made Indian food. I said, "Oh, this is news. This is butter chicken?" She said, "Yeah." Bit into that. There was some vegetables steamed on the side. I said, "Whoa, this is amazing." He said, "Yeah, I noticed that they didn't have any groceries, so I used my food stamps to get some food for these guys. And I realized that this is a horrifying household. I need to fix this." I said, In front of every great man is a very powerful, strong, amazing woman. I understand. I grasp that. I like that. So we began talking and having these conversations. And then I got her permission, by the way, to say this, because I asked permission specifically for this. She said, "Well, I want to tell you this. I can't have kids. So raising that little boy is something I've always wanted to do. I've dreamed every day of being a mother." "You dreamed of being a mother? That's amazing. That's an amazing dream. I didn't know people dreamed about being a mother. My mother didn't. I didn't know that." And she said, "Yeah, I just wanted always in my life to raise a child." And I said, "Okay, well, that's amazing news. I'm happy to know this information. And I'm glad to know this is going on. Now I want to add some context here. The child's safe." At first, I was not going to check up on the child and things of that variety. I was scared to because my friend was going to be very mad at me. But the child's safe. And I also want to point something out here and add some context to why my friend is a single father. His baby mama got taken out in the shootout. I just want to point that out. That was a horrifying revelation. She got Swiss cheesed. She got Gimbelgop. She got Gloompity. She got Schmeckeldorfed. She got Flinty Niptied. She got hit with some Detroit magic nonsense. I live in Detroit, by the way. She got slimpled. So that was very upsetting for him. He is doing his best as a father. He is doing his best as a man that had no good role models. And while he is having a lot of faults in being a parent, while he does have a bad time with learning how to do these things and learning how to actively cope and be nice, and he strikes his child sometimes, I want to point this out. It is very difficult to be a parent. If you think it's easy, if you think you shouldn't hit your kids, things of that variety, I think you shouldn't hit your kids as well. But I also want to point out, I'm not a parent. Just want to say that right now. I've seen kids do unreasonable things. I know what it's like to come home from work and be agitated. I know what it's like to be overstimulated. I know what it's like to not know. I know what it's like to not have good role models. And it is very difficult. And this may be the first generation of parents ever to know that how we raise our kids will actually affect them. This is going to be the first generation of parents to ever know that we should actually be nice to our kids. First generation of parents, period. Because only Our parents, you know what they had? Their parents, and their parents probably abused them, and that psycho abuse continued. This is the first generation of parents that actually has the power and capacity to break generational trauma. But not everybody's going to have those resources or abilities. That boy has a red Nintendo Wii. That's what he has. And the kid has an iPad. Thankfully, the girl that came over had a PS5. The girl that lives in has a PS5 so they can actually do things. And the reason I'm even making this video and rehashing these points is because I made a short about this, but I wasn't able to explain everything simply because, by all means, it's a short. It's 3 minutes. I don't have that much time. So I wanted to express all the people that have reached out to me asking me to make sure the kid is safe and things of that variety. Now at this current moment, I have seen the kid a few other times. We've been pretty chill. She's a much better cook than me. I am basically like a subsidiary uncle. And the guy is actually very upset that I keep hanging out over there because he is scared I'm going to take his girl from him because he works very hard. So I have been mitigating my things. Yes, he's insecure. You can comment that in the comments. However, I think that is a very reasonable thing as I have a history of doing that. But I'm also deeply in a marriage right now. I am married. I don't know why he'd think I'd ever betray my wife. I don't like people that much. Ridiculous. But I do want to point that out. I'm not a horribly good person. I'm a human. I have my bad and good all mixed together. All is one. That's how I operate. I've done bad things in the past. That's the reality of how life operates. But I do want to point out that I try my best to be kind and fun. Not good, though. I don't try to be good. I just try to be kind and fun. That's about it. Anyways, you're checking out what I said. Bye. Peace.
I'm your nigga night. Be my lover. Low. Ooh, happy to try what you need. Your world, I love to live in it. I love the ride when you're free.